The video game industry is massive, with tons and tons of games coming out every single month. However, some of these games just aren't as good as the rest of them. Welcome everyone to It's All Viral. My name is Nemo, and today we're going to be counting down our picks for the top 10 worst video games of 2017 so far. We're running a $200 Amazon gift card giveaway for the entire month of August. All you have to do to enter is like this video, be subscribed, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment on why you want to win it with your Twitter handle attached. I will announce the winner at the end of the month on Twitter. Best of luck to everybody that entered our August giveaway for It's All Viral. And also, guys, if you're new to the channel or you are a longtime sub, do us a favor and turn on your post notifications. All you gotta do is click that bell, check that box, and you can have every single It's All Viral video at your fingertips as soon as they're uploaded. Now, what's great about this video is these are the worst games of 2017, but there are also 10 reasons why you shouldn't pre-order video games. At our number 10 spot, we have Urban Empire. Do you ever wonder what it would be like to play SimCity, but without all of the open-ended customization? Enter Urban Empire, a world simulation game that focuses more on the nitty-gritty side of ruling a world, like, political parties, alliances, and eventually getting world domination. While the game can be commended for trying to take a more realistic approach to the world domination simulation game, but this game is just boring. It ends up feeling like a SimCity clone, but without all of the options you should have in the game, which makes you just want to go play SimCity instead. I personally had pretty high hopes for Urban Empire, but unfortunately, it just fell flat on its face. That could have been a lack of funding for the game developer, or just lack of innovation and lack of quality control. But at the end of the day, good thing there is a Steam refund option, because I would be out of quite a bit of money. Now at the number 9 list is Mass Effect Andromeda. While this game isn't horrible, it's definitely not good. Released as a follow-up to the critically acclaimed Mass Effect trilogy and intended to expand the universe for future installments, Mass Effect Andromeda really just served to piss off fans of the series, as it had nowhere near the amount of effort or detail as the original trilogy had, leading many to call it a simple cash grab. The animation was bland, the characters were forgettable, and the combat was really the only thing worth mentioning for being good. But what's the point in playing a game for its combat when the rest of it is just boring and uninteresting? Hopefully BioWare sees what they did wrong and corrects it for future installments, assuming that we get another Mass Effect game in the future. Hopefully the new one will have a little bit more effort put into it. Now, my personal theory of why Mass Effect Andromeda just wasn't good from the start is because it was being developed by BioWare's B team, not the A team. The A team was working on a game called Anthem that is set to release in 2018. So hopefully the bad development in Mass Effect Andromeda means a better game out of Anthem. Now, I personally don't think I could take 2 back-to-back bad games from BioWare, especially if Anthem is not good. It'll probably lead me to never purchase another BioWare game ever again, and that's even after all the success that they had in the past. Now, moving down the list at the number 8 spot is For Honor. This Ubisoft game was supposed to be insane. Like many other Ubisoft games, we were let down almost instantly. It's an online game set in medieval times where you could face up against other players as samurai, knights, or Vikings. Which I was like, sign me up. That sounded like a pretty good time. But the first thing wrong with this game that, set off some red flags for gamers was it was published by Ubisoft. And given their terrible reputation for releasing unfinished and downgraded products, yeah, I'm talking about you Watch Dogs in The Division, For Honor was just another addition to the list of Ubisoft frustrations, as it was riddled with technical problems at release, plenty of bugs, glitches, and connectivity issues, thanks to the game running on an awkward, outdated peer-to-peer connection rather than dedicated servers. For Honor experienced a 95% drop in player base after its release, and led many to call out for a boycott of Ubisoft thanks to their utter disregard for their customers. But I see a change of Ubisoft in the horizon, as they were easily the best of show at this year's E3. So hopefully they're finally understanding how this little game industry thing works. Now at the number 7 spot is 1-2 Switch. When the Nintendo Wii came out, the excellent Wii Sports came along with it. Well, 1-2 Switch was supposed to be the Wii Sports of the new Nintendo Switch, packed with mini games that showed off the new capabilities of the console and how much fun you could have with it. But the main problem here with 1-2 Switch is it's a complete ripoff and isn't really fun for more than an hour or two. Now, I mean, sure, it does have 28 mini games as opposed to Wii Sports only having 5, But the main difference between the two games is Wii Sports actually put effort into their minigames, and all 5 of them could be played for hours and hours on end, which is what led to Wii Sports becoming one of the best-selling games of all time. 1-2 Switch just doesn't have that charm and leads you to feeling like you got ripped off after you grow bored of this full price game that only lasted about 2 hours. Now, I personally think they should have just bundled the two together, so if you bought a Nintendo Switch, then you got 1-2 Switch as well. I didn't think they should have dropped it at like separately and charged $59 for it. I think if they would have bundled it with the Switch, it would have justified the price of the Nintendo Switch even more. Now at the number 6 spot is Super Bomberman R. Sticking with the theme of disappointing Nintendo Switch games, Bomberman has definitely had it rough. While he's a legend in the gaming world and his original games are nothing short of classics, his name started to go downhill with the release of Bomberman Act Zero in 2006, which put the lovable character into a post-apocalyptic future and made him dark and scary. The game was absolutely destroyed by both critics and gamers alike, leading to a hiatus of the franchise save for a few handheld entries. Well, Bomberman was back with the release of the Nintendo Switch, or at least he was supposed to be back. Super Bomberman R just isn't fun. Sure, at least this one looks like Bomberman and it sounds like Bomberman, but the gameplay itself just doesn't have that spark that the originals did. Perhaps it's time for Bomberman to retire, he just can't seem to catch a break. Now, cracking into the top 5 worst games of 2017 so far is Double Dragon 4. Do you remember the Double Dragon games? This series is legendary in the world of side-scrolling beat-em-ups, with the first one dating back to 1987. It was pretty awesome to get a new game. It was actually pretty awesome to get a new game in the series, but the hype quickly died when it came out and we found out that this wasn't the same game that was played in the arcades. Now, the game maintained a retro art style to make it feel more like its predecessors, but that's really the only thing that reminds you of the originals. Double Dragon 4 is like if you took all of the bad elements of the classic side-scrolling beat-em-ups and put them in one place. It's slow, it's repetitive, it's monotonous, and the character handling just makes you feel like you're not doing anything yourself. In fact, thanks to the retro style, Double Dragon 4 just ends up feeling like some Double Dragon ripoff that came out in the late 80s rather than an entry in the actual series. So at the number 4 spot is Power Rangers Mega Battle. Sticking with the theme of bad side-scrolling beat-em-ups, next up we have Power Rangers Mega Battle. So it was clearly released to simply cash in on the upcoming Power Rangers movie reboot, which was awesome if I do say so myself. Mega Battle features an old school visual style and stars from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast as playable characters. The concept is pretty cool. You get to play as Rangers as regular teenagers for a short time before you can morph into your Ranger form and earn new abilities to face off with more powerful enemies, but everything else in the game is just a complete disaster. The hit detection is horrible. The enemies have hitboxes that make no sense. The boss battles are cheap, the music is insanely repetitive, and the game would freeze and crash constantly. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the Zord battles are just light gun shooter sections as opposed to actual fights. Yeah, screw this game. Now at the number 3 spot is a game called Husk. So with the tragic cancellation of Silent Hill, horror fans have been waiting for that killer horror title to come out. In early 2017 we got Resident Evil 7, which was a great horror game, but a little after that we got a game called Husk. Now this game was supposed to be a mix between Alan Wake and Silent Hill. It definitely promoted itself to be the alternative to Silent Hills, but when it finally released, it seemed like a crime to even put Husk and Silent Hills in the same sentence. Husk is a game that just lacks an identity. Sure, the story is pretty interesting, but that doesn't mean much when the gameplay itself is just kind of predictable and not much fun. Plus, the game isn't scary at all, which is kind of an essential for a horror game. Now, I'm not much into horror games, but I'm still salty that Silent Hill was canceled by Konami. That company either needs to die or somebody needs to buy it out and, restore it to its former glory. Now at the number 2 spot is Troll and I. Ever have a bunch of buddies and play The Last Guardian and think to yourself, yeah, we could do that? Well, meet Troll and I. It's basically a discount version of The Last Guardian. You play as a boy traveling in a fantasy world with his giant monster companion. Sound familiar? The main difference between the two games is Troll and I just sucks. It's not polished, it's choppy, it has below average visuals, and the game is basically just a walking simulator thanks to objectives being so spread out and linear that they require so little effort and take so much time to get to. If you want to play Troll and I, just do yourself a favor and go play The Last Guardian. It's the exact same game, except way better. Now, last but not least, at the #1 spot is Vroom in the Night Sky. At the beginning of every new console's lifespan, there are terrible games that come along with it, trying to trick people into buying it just for the sake of having the game for the new system. Well, meet Vroom in the Sky. It was a game released for the Nintendo Switch shortly after the launch of the console. This game is absolutely awful. It's only a couple hours long, and it's just not fun, and it had a script that was so bad that it actually had to be patched. Yeah, you heard me. This game was so bad that the developers had to patch in a new script. Sure, I mean, it's only $10, but why did the game even come out in the first place? Oh yeah, that's right, because people wanted to bank on the Switch's release. Let this game be forgotten, just let it die. And that, my friends, wraps it up with the top 10 worst games of 2017 so far. The year is not over, so I'm sure there's gonna be more games that are just as bad, if not worse. So who knows, guys, this list might be updated in the future. Thank you all for watching, guys. Do us a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications. Also, there is a link to a playlist below for other top 10s like this. And feel free to submit your top 10 ideas in the description as well. Thanks again for watching. This has been your boy Nemo from It's All Viral, and I will talk to you guys on the next Top 10.